Hello everyone, my name is Alex Bobrowska. I work for DWP Digital, where we have designed a digital service bringing skills demand data to local government. Now, why have we done this? The need for this service arises from the fact that local government need to understand which skills and job titles are in demand and how digital they are in their local area in order to make informed decisions about training. This training needs to give people the right skills to fill local jobs, both the ones that exist right now, but also the jobs that will exist in the future. And they also need to provide people with enough digital skills to allow them to participate in the increasingly digital economy. Now, although this is a local issue, there's a number of central government departments looking to tackle it. One of them is DCMS. They've got their local digital skills partnerships, which help deliver targeted digital skills training. And at DWP, we've got our labor market strategy, where we recognize that with appropriate training, we can help more people into work and we can help more people progress into better employment. So we collaborated with DCMS to create a digital information service for local government. We started off with a discovery, so we looked at what is possible to do with the data that we have. We purchased a dataset from a job aggregation website called Adzuna, and that dataset contains over 65 million job ads posted over the last 4 years. That contains over 6,000 unique skills, 5,000 unique job titles. Being a team of data scientists, we looked at what cool stuff we can do with the data. We came up with clustering, entropy, outlier detection, recommendation engine, just to name a few. On the other side of the coin, we looked at what our users actually require. So we identified our users as local enterprise partnerships, or LEPs, and local authorities, because these are the institutions which shape local economy by influencing employers and training providers to put on the right training to give people the right skills. And they can do that by providing them with evidence from an information service. So we asked them how they've been influencing their stakeholders so far. We discovered that technical ability varies not only between LEP and lab, but also on an individual level within LEP. And also data use is very inconsistent between institutions. And so we've seen examples of using just open data, as well as commissioning third-party research, as well as sending out their own surveys to employers, which can be flawed when the surveys are only sent out to the major employers, and so SMEs get missed out. In the overlap between what is possible and what is required, we placed our design. And so we've designed a place-based application where all the insights and analytics are tailored to the user's chosen place. Due to the varied technical ability, we decided to put the analytics behind the scenes. So, for example, boiling down 6,000 skills to 20 categories via a clustering algorithm appears to the user in the form of a drop-down box. And we're also showcasing insights. So right away, we're giving users information about what's interesting and unique about their chosen area, while also giving them the opportunity to explore the data themselves. While we were busy building the data prototype, our user researchers kept gathering feedback and iterating design with the users. That allowed us to determine which information is useful and cut out all the unnecessary clutter. It also allowed us to discover that they would like to see some additional context, such as, for example, economic activity rates data. And it allowed us to iterate some of our visuals to make sure that they are fit for purpose. So now I will try to show you a live demo of the application. There we go. Just to let you know, this is an alpha prototype, which means that we can scrap everything in this application if the user feedback suggests that we should. And also, this is a proof of concept, which means that we've been designing things to show that it's possible rather than to show that this is the best way to do it. So after you've read the blurb about what the service does, we're asked to supply a place that we're interested in. So we're going to go for the Northeast Lab, because that's where I live. There we go. Right away, we're giving an interesting fact. So this is, again, behind this sits outlier detection, and this is giving our user immediately a kind of interesting insight. So customer service advisor roles have fallen compared to on last year compared to other labs. So as a lab user, I can think if I've got training in this area, I might want to dial it down because the skill is falling in demand. If we scroll down, oh, this is very fast. There we go. If we scroll down, we see the five skills that are in most demand in the Northeast Lab, and also the 5 skills that have grown the most over the last year. So again, this is immediately giving our users 5 or 10 areas that they can be focusing on when deciding where to put on training. As I said, when we click through, we give the users an opportunity to explore the data themselves. So this is a very large table that contains every single skill that appeared on a job ad in the Northeast over the last month. So the drop-down that I was talking about here, there's 20 categories. Powerful clustering algorithm sits behind this, but the user doesn't have to see that. They're not bombarded with that information. On the other hand here, what we've done as well is to every skill we've assigned a level of digitensity, which is a word that I made up for it. Again, this is a drop-down box, but in reality what we're doing is we're matching the skills to Wikipedia and analysing the text in the Wikipedia articles to determine how digital the skill is. So if we look at highly digital skills, live demos never work. There we go. So if you look at highly digital skills, as a lab user, I can see right away that this skill, advertising, is highly digital, which is something that might be surprising to people, which means that if I'm thinking about putting on training in advertising, I might want to pair it with some digital training as well to give people a more well-rounded set of skills if they're thinking about that career. If I'm trying to convince my stakeholders to put on that training in the Northeast, I'll need some more evidence. And so this page gives us a tailored view of evidence behind advertising in the Northeast, so very kind of specialized. We see that the demand is high. We see exactly how many vacancies appeared last month. We've got the salary range and transferability. So again, we're giving people words, but behind this is a number, which is the entropy of that skill. We've got a time series, so we can show our stakeholders exactly what's been happening to the demand for that skill over time, and we can compare it to the national average, which is the gray line over here. And we've also got a chart that shows us how the demand distributes over component local authorities in our lab. So if we're trying to decide where exactly in our area we should put that training, we can see that Newcastle upon Tyne has got the highest demand, so it's probably there that we should be providing that training. Down at the bottom, we've got something that came out of our recommendation engine work. So we've got 5 jobs that require this skill and 5 related skills. So again, this is something that can help our users explore the kind of skills landscape in this kind of subject area if they want to pair some training together. So these are just some features of our prototype. Not just in terms of next steps. We are gathering feedback and we are iterating with our users. So this includes fixing bugs, because obviously there's going to be bugs, but also putting in new features and putting in additional data that they request. In terms of a more strategic view, it turns out it's not just DCMS and DWP that care about giving people the right skills for the jobs that exist and will exist. DFE are also looking at that for their skills advisory panels policy. And so we are now talking about taking this project forward as a collaboration of 3 departments to build a single application that aligns to all of these policies and fulfills all of the user needs. Thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions and breathing a little bit.
Thank you very much indeed, Alex. Got us off to the best possible start. Once I have set that to go, who would like to ask questions? I'm going to take them in sort of groups of 3. Again, tell us who you are, where you're from. Keep it relatively short because it's your time and everybody else's that you'll be wasting. So I've got a question down here, a question there as well, and we've got one in the front. So if we go here, there, and there. Thank you. If you're in the room next door, by the way, and you'd like to ask a question, please come to the door during the next round.
Hi, I'm Emma from Snook. I wanted to ask a cheeky 2-part question. Firstly, I think I understand that the service is designed for people in local authorities and training providers to use. Is that right?
It's for local enterprise partnerships and local authorities to influence the training providers.
Right. My question is, I wondered if you'd thought about it as a service for end users, and if you've explored that at all. And then I also wondered how you decided what interesting facts to show people. Like, how did you design that content?
Brilliant, thank you. If we go to the gentleman there.
James Kidner from Improbable. Congratulations, fascinating story and elegantly presented. Can you give, this is a rather prosaic question, but can you give us some sense of how long it's taken you to develop this, how many people involved, and roughly what it cost?
Thank you, and a question down here as well.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for that. John Corrible, I manage Oxfordshire County Council. We have got some experience of using data around vacancy adverts to track shortages. How did you deal with 2 particular problems, one of which is potentially exaggerating skill shortages because the harder it is to recruit to a job, the more outlets you advertise it through, and the second of which is exaggerating the prevalence of jobs which are high turnover because they get advertised more often, but there aren't actually more people doing them.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the first question was about designing for our end users. So everything we've been doing is essentially just for our end users. So if we had designed this application as just a team of data scientists, it would have looked a lot different. It would have been a lot of fancy charts and a lot of clicking through and a lot of kind of analytics and stuff. But our users didn't want that. That's why we had on board an interaction designer and a really brilliant user researcher. And they were both a really brilliant team that kind of allowed us to really shape the application based on what the users actually need. And we were cutting out things that, even though we thought were really cool, the users didn't find useful, so there's no place for them in our application.
Sorry, I think you misunderstood my question. I meant like the common person on the street to use it. So I imagined a use case of like if I'm wanting to move out of London and I want to understand like where my job is available to do. I just wondered if you could explore other use cases.
Yes, so we have thought about this, but because this is just an alpha stage at the moment, we want to focus at this particular purpose and prove this concept. And if we prove this concept that this works with local authorities and labs, then we can take this forward and we can use it in a variety of different ways. So we're also currently looking at using it internally within the department with some kind of internal data. So it's a very reusable framework, but for now we're just focusing. We want to deliver this thing in the best possible way for now. And your second question was about the interesting facts. So it's just outlier detection, essentially. It's just looking at how your lab compares to other labs in the region or in the country, or how your local authority compares to other local authorities in the country, and kind of normalizing it. So, for example, management is a skill that's high in demand everywhere because it's, just appears in every single job ad, essentially. But that wouldn't be an interesting fact. So only if something is higher than in other places, that's when we report it as an interesting fact. Again, it's not a very sophisticated methodology that we're using at the moment, just because it is a proof of concept. The second question was about how long and how many people. So we've got a multidisciplinary team with about 4 or 5 data scientists, but we've got other people there as well. We've got user researcher, content designer, interaction designer, product owner, agile delivery manager, and kind of bits and bobs of other roles as well. We started working on the data discovery last year, so around summer last year, I think. And then kind of started our actual delivery part in January. So we took about 3 months to actually build the thing. I can't tell you how much it costs, unfortunately, but yeah, this is how long it took. In terms of explaining some of the quirks with the data, as part of our data discovery, we did explore it quite intensively and quite vastly, so we are aware of various different caveats around this. Some of it is something that we can't help because it's the nature of the job. So, for example, bias against jobs with a high turnover being re-advertised. This is something that we're aware of, and the only thing that we can do about this for now is just let our users know that this might happen. And I think just by being honest about things that we're aware of, we can kind of plug that gap. But again, because this is a prototype, we kind of prove the concept, but we are working on kind of, if there's any additional caveats that maybe we can work around and we can fix in the data, then we will iterate on it in the next phases of the project.
Brilliant. Let's take another set of questions. Anybody next door, please come to the door. We'll go there, and there.
Hi, I'm Ed Parks. I work with public sector organisations on data strategy and innovation projects. I have a question about the extent to which past skills are a predictor of skills needed in the future, particularly in the context of digital skills, which change quite quickly. How confident are you that the information you're providing to the LEPs is a good guide for their sort of procuring behaviour?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Front row there.
Yeah, my question was nearly identical. You've got 4 years of data, but how are you using that to predict how vacancies are going to change in the future? That was it.
Thanks. And then the back row of that section there.
Yeah, my question is a bit similar as well. The Office of National Statistics have their own set of skills and jobs, list of types of roles, and I wonder whether you've been talking to them about perhaps bringing their list more up to date using the data that you're using.
Thank you.
So I'll just take the prediction question altogether. We're not actually predicting anything. There's no forecasting being done in the application. So we're basically supplying the users with the information at kind of face value. So we're saying these skills have been growing, and we can give them a percentage growth if this is what they require. But we're not saying that this means that they will be growing or that they will be in demand. By giving them that time series chart, we can kind of start showing them whether they're growing because, for example, in Blackpool, you would imagine retail and hospitality jobs growing over the summer, but then dipping after the summer. So we can kind of start showing that through the time series chart, but we're not actually making any predictions. So it's not a decision-making tool; it's a decision-supporting tool. So it's still in the remit of our users to decide what that information means for them and how they're going to base their decisions on that. Now, in terms of ONS datasets and kind of other work going on in this space, we are aware of stuff and we would love to work with other organizations on updating like skills registers and skills taxonomies and things like that. So I think the only thing that I would say in here is please come and collaborate with us if you have work going on in this space, and watch this space if you're interested, I guess.
I like the idea of the ONS having a very particular set of skills. It's a bit Liam Neeson, isn't it? We've got time for one very quick further question. If anybody has a burning thing they would like to ask. Otherwise, Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you.